Let's look at another problem. This one is 8 plus 15 divided by 3 minus 6 plus 8 times 2. Okay, this problem has adding, dividing, subtraction, and multiplication all in it. So we need to look at our rules to see what to do first. Okay, again, we don't have any parentheses, nor do we have any exponents. So we skip down to Rule 3, which says to multiply and divide from left to right. So we actually have dividing here and multiplying, but our rule says to go from left to right with our multiplying and our dividing. So what we'd want to do first would be to do this dividing. And I'm going to write that down, circle that, so you can keep up with where we are. And then what I'm going to do is copy the problem down again, but this time I'm going to fill in the answer as I go to that dividing. 15 divided by 3 is 5. The rest of the problem I'm going to copy down just as it was. So now we have 8 plus 5, subtract 6, plus 8 times 2. Okay, now that I've done my dividing, I have to look and see what other dividing or multiplying there is. And here's the multiplying. So that's the next thing I need to do. So now I copy down the rest of the problem just like it was. And when I come to that multiplying, I do it. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, now I've finished with all my multiplying and my dividing. So now I'm ready to add and subtract from left to right. So if I go from left to right, this is the first one I come to, 8 plus 5. That gives me 13. I copy the rest of the problem down. But don't do just one step at a time. Many times your answer will come out wrong. Now I keep going from left to right because all I have is adding and subtraction. So now I'm ready to do this 13 minus 6. That's going to give me 7. And copy the rest of the problem down. 7 plus 16. 7 plus 16 will give me 23. If you need to write it down over here and add it up, 6 and 7 is 13. Carry our 1. 1 and 1 is 2. So our answer is 23. Anytime you have a part of a problem that you can't do in your head, just go to the side and do it. But keep writing your problem down in order. Only fill in the answer each time as you go. Let's look at another problem. This one is 4 times 5 squared minus 3 plus 4 cubed. This particular problem does have some parentheses. See the parentheses around the 5, but if we try to follow that rule that says work within symbols of inclusion, there's really nothing to do inside those symbols because there's just one number there. So all those parentheses are doing are just separating the 5 from the 4. So we don't really have any work inside the parentheses to do. So we can skip down to step 2 that says to do our work with exponents. So let's work with our exponents. The first exponent we come to is the 5. The base is 5 and the exponent is 2. So that's the first thing we want to do. We want to work with that 5 squared. So let's do that. I write the rest of the problem down the way it was. I write my 4. And then when I come to my 5 squared, I want to write that answer down. This means that 5 is a factor twice. So what I need to do is make 5 a factor twice. And that gives me 25. So I want to fill in 25 as my answer here. And copy the rest of the problem down just as it was. So I have 4 times 25 minus 3 plus 4 cubed. Now, I still have some exponents left, so I have to do my next exponent, which is over here. And so I copy the problem down. And when I come to that 4 cubed, I need to work out and see what it is. So we want to let 4 be a factor 3 times. So if we do that, 4 times 4 is 16. And when I multiply 16 times 4, (24), carry my 2, I get 64. So I go over here and fill in 64 for my answer. Okay, so now I've finished with my exponents. So I'm ready to go down to Rule 3 that says do your multiplying and your dividing from left to right. Well, I only have one multiplying in the problem, and that's this very first thing right here. This 4 times the 25. That's what I'd want to do next. I'd want to multiply 4 times 25. Well, when I do that, I'll find that I get 100. And now I have 100 subtract 3 plus 64. So now I've done all my multiplying and dividing. So now I go down to Rule 4. It says to add and subtract from left to right. Now, when it says to add and subtract from left to right, it means addition and subtraction is equal. You just do whichever one you come to first. So here, since I come to subtraction first, that's what I want to do. So I want to do 100 subtract 3. And I'm going to come down here and do that. 100, take away 3. So I can't subtract 3 from 0, so I borrow from that 10 and make it a 9. And say 3 from 10 leaves 7. So I have 97. So 100 minus 3 is 97 plus 64. And when I do 97 plus 64, I will get my answer. 11, carry my 1, I'll get 161. You can't see that, can you? 161. So let's put our 161 down as our answer. So if you want to go back and look at our whole problem, you can see the order in which we did things. Now we finally have a problem with parentheses. Okay, so our rule says to begin inside symbols of inclusion. So the first thing we want to do is to do the work inside those parentheses, or symbols of inclusion or grouping. So we want to do our work inside the parentheses. So I'm going to copy down the problem just as it is, but leave out the inside of the parentheses because I want to do that. So if I do what's inside the parentheses, 6 subtract 3, I'll get 3. That's what I want to do first. So now I've done the work inside the parentheses. So now I'm ready to do my exponents. Well, I only have one exponent, which is the 3 raised to the second power. So that's what I want to do next. So I copy everything else down just as it was. And when I come to the 3 to the second power, I want to do it. What that means is 3 is a factor twice. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 3 and come up with 9. So I'm going to fill in a 9 here when I come to that 3 squared. Then I have plus 20. So I've gotten rid of my parentheses, gotten rid of my exponent. Now I'm down to Rule 3, which says to multiply and divide from left to right. Well, I don't have any multiplication or division. So I have to skip over that rule and go to Rule 4. Well, Rule 4 says to add and subtract from left to right. So if I go from left to right, I have to do the 120 minus 9 first. And let's don't do that in our head. Let's work that out. We borrow 1 from the 2. So 9 from 10 will leave 1. And we bring this down. So we have 111. So we have 111 plus 20. And now if I add that, 111 plus 20, I end up getting 131. And that would be my answer.